What's up, everybody? we're live. We're talking Draftkings golf for this week. The WGC Mexico Classic played in Mexico City. I'm here with Pacheco and Logan and Christian, aka Albatross. The Bird should be joining us shortly. He's always late, so we're not really surprised he's not here to begin with. But it's an interesting event. 77-man field. No cut event. Everyone's going to play 4 rounds. Generally, we like studs and duds when that happens, but with the loose pricing on DK and a loaded field, there's not really one way you have to build because there are just so many freaking good plays on the week. So it's kind of hard. I'm not even going to play cash games. I'm just going to play GPPs because I can't find one single cash game lineup that I really like where I'm not leaving out some sort of really, really strong value. And one of the stories of this week, the altitude is pretty crazy, much like crazier than it is in Coors Field. So guys are going to be hitting the ball a long, long way. And there's been some different takes on the altitude, you know, what type of players it's going to affect. The new one I just saw on Twitter was that the old fat guys are going to get tired. Spieth tweeted something about playing 9 holes, felt like he already played 18. So fatigue. I saw something about
Hey, wait, Mike, don't they use carts? Or is that
yeah. We 2-ton from our DailyRoto chat just found out that they don't use carts. So good job, 2-ton, if you're listening. And what was I gonna say? You interrupted me, Logan. Way to go. You're such a dick.
Sorry,
the other one I saw was the smarter players will do better because the yardages will be messed up and they'll trust the math. Which
so that
I'm not really buying into these.
That leads us to no DJ, right? Smarter players.
No DJ.
If we want to go all narrative, we won't have any DJ. You agree, Chris? If it's really a smart man's course.
Yeah, I suppose. No DJ this week. That kind of sucks.
You're all about not having fun with your narrative, so I suspect that you'll probably load up on DJ.
Well, yeah, it's just being a smart player. So.
Yeah, fair, I guess, but it's still fun. We're just here to have fun, right?
But it is up top. I mean, it is difficult to decide between. You got like 4 or 5 guys if you throw Hideki in the group, right? DJ at 12.5, Spieth 11.5, Rory 10.9, Hideki 10.7, Stenson 10.3. We're usually team Stenson. Pacheco, why don't you give your little Stenson pitch? He's the guy that we like the most for cash games.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he's 10.3. He's like at a totally different pricing level than like DJ and Spieth this week. Also, he really doesn't use his driver much. He won't have to in this course. Like at 10.3,
no clear 3 wood.
He's almost impossible to fade if you're playing cash, even in tournaments. Like I know he'll be high owned. But you can't get away from that price, honestly. Oh,
Logan,
Mike,
who are you taking up top? Who are you building around?
Oh. Well, first, can I ask a question? Because I've heard the talk about, well, obviously the altitude is a big thing, and like rightfully so, we should be talking about that. But have we seen anything really that this is going to change? I know this is going to change yardages and everything, but I at least haven't seen much about like if this is going to change clubs in people's hands off the tee or anything. Have you? I guess we suspected and or like, led to believe that because they can hit it further, they can, use like a 3-wood.
I think it's
to be a bit more accurate
off the tee. I mean, you're talking some major yardage differences here. So I think, like I saw, driving distance might be 10 to 15% different.
Right.
Like
have we seen? Sorry, I guess my question was: have we seen any of the players commenting?
I haven't seen a specific player say they're going to hit different clubs off the tee. No.
Okay, that was my question. Hello, Christian.
Christian finally joined us.
Yeah, I'm here. I know I'm a little late. I actually lost internet. I had to switch like networks. But yeah, I'm excited to be here.
All right. Yeah, we're just talking about the altitude thing a little bit and then how Stenson is Pacheco's boy and generally the Albatross boy, and he's the best value up top.
I mean, dude, Stenson, he's been my favorite player for probably like 2 years. A long time. I mean, and he's going to be great players week. His price is insane. It doesn't make any sense. There are a lot of prices that don't make sense in the slate, but someone who's going to be in all my cash teams. He's going to be in a lot of my tournament teams. I think he's going to be probably the highest owned player on the slate. If those ownership projections are any good. So it's going to be exciting to see what kind of happens there.
Yeah, well, ownership projections just got posted, right, Mike? You should list some of those off.
Right. So, like,
Christian. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to list off the ownerships up top. We've got projected at spread pretty far out. Actually, I'm surprised our ownership on some of these guys is kind of low. DJ 22%, Stenson by far the highest projected ownership at 31%. So we've got all of them for our premium subscribers up there. But the rest of the big three, so to speak, Spieth, Rory, and Hideki, we've got at much lower ownerships than those two.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Just the way the salaries are kind of working out, I just think it's going to be way easier to build around a Henrik and kind of, if you do ownership projections, there's kind of certain, constraints you have to work with here. And I think, DJ's kind of always been popular. I think Henrik has also been super popular of late. People are kind of worried about Rory's health. I think that's going to lower him, even though he's, usually really popular. So you can only play so many guys, and you just do the math and you realize that some of these guys have to go off like lower owned than you'd expect them to be, Yeah,
that makes me like, I know Rory's got the rib injury, Pacheco, but my goodness, him at 10-9 and like him and Hideki seem like the two guys that I really want a lot of in GPP, just because I feel like you're getting the DJ Spieth upside and you're getting the Stenson sort of price tag and you're getting the low ownership of the group.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I would also suggest our subscribers check out is that this week we added a column that is not just ownerships. Is in the customizer document you could download. It's an Excel sheet. There's a game theory optimal percentage, right? It's like if the market's playing efficiently, like what percentage is each player's ownership? Or what should it be? And then it's like right side by side, their predicted ownership, which I think is going to be different for a lot of guys, especially.
That's badass. That's definitely cool if you're a GPP player. I'll be doing that. I know I've got some GPP guys that we'll get into in a bit, but yeah, anything else on the top guys? I know Ben, one of our followers, asked how much Stenson is too much Stenson because he's in on him. I think cash games, you can be 100% Stenson, no issues. GPP, I always have a tough time with, like that's what's cool about the customizer, Christian, is you can visualize the game theory a little bit, because I have a tough time gauging, when a guy's a really, really good value, but he's going to be high owned, because everyone knows he's going to be a good value. It's always a difficult conversation for GPPs.
Yeah, we have him right now. We have Henrik at game theory optimal 26%. And you're surprised it sounds a lot lower. Like I think he's going to go off a higher owns. I think that, if anything, I'm going to be slightly short him in tournaments, even though he's an amazing play. And that's just kind of the way our game theory methodology works there. Maybe it's wrong, but it's new. I'm trying it. I play very, very close to those values. So, see.
Hey, Christian, while we're talking about ownerships a little bit, and I know we were kind of discussing the top, and you guys talked about this on the podcast as well, but I'd like you just to reiterate it for me since I'm here with you now. What are you doing with Steele? And I see the projected ownership here on the site. You guys spent a lot of time talking about it on a podcast. Ownership projection of T4 here at 22%. And again, we've mentioned that things are going to be spread out because the field's condensed and you're getting 4 rounds guaranteed for everyone. But what are you doing with Steele, in tournaments in particular?
I'm going to be short him again, and I'm going to hope that he doesn't do what he did last week. I think he's a slightly underpriced play, right? I don't think that he's That being said, there's so many guys on the slate that are just so much better. Like Cabrera Bello 7,400, right? It means Sergio's only 600 more expensive. Phil is $300 cheaper. Come on, I just don't see it there.
But with recent form, though, how do you I'm with you, but it is interesting with Steele. It's not like he's had 2 or 3 good tournaments in a row. if you look at his tee to green, which is, the more reliable statistic week to week, he's at least +3 strokes gained there in 8 tournaments in a row. He was +9 last week, absolutely crushing. So I guess on a week where the ownerships are going to be so spread out, like, is there a real big difference between taking a guy at 22 and a guy at like 14? I don't know. Maybe there is, but
I think the difference between 22 and 14 is smaller than the difference between 14 and 6. Like, I think the like, knocking out 94% of the field if your 6% guy wins is more important than knocking out, even if it's slightly better play, right? Than knocking out 86% if your 14% guy wins. Even though the 14% guy might, have a better price for cash games.
Hey, Christian.
Go ahead.
Sorry, where are you looking then? I know we're talking about the differences here. If you want to find that 6% guy that can knock out more of the field at like Steele's price range, within reason, because there's a lot of guys within that range. Like, where are you looking for? Who is that 6% guy?
I mean, it seems to me like Knox is going to be under-owned. I think he's got 6,900. I mean, do I think that he can win this week? Yeah, I don't think it's likely. I think it's, he's, but I don't think he's going to be played as heavily just based on there's so many good players in this field, and he kind of goes under the radar there. I just saw like a Roto Grinders, was just somebody posted a poll on Twitter, and it was like 4 guys, who's going to be the highest owned, or who's the best play at like under 7K, and Knox was last in that poll when I checked it. So that's weird. And if you look at 6K guys in general, they're already going lower owned because of like the salary construction bias. Where not bias, I mean, you're trying to fill up all your salary, and to do
I think there is some bias.
I think there's a biase too.
When you can easily play all 7K guys that you're like, I'm not going to mess with this, because even I had a little bit of that. I like in the projected ownerships, right around Knox, we've got Bubba Watson, who, I mean, he hasn't been good, but I mean, a 7K Bubba Watson, a guy who's a good DK scorer, and Drewby made this point on the podcast. You want like because nobody's going to miss a cut, you're going to end up with a lot of guys that maybe finish 30th or whatever that score as many DK points as guys that finish 5-10 places ahead of them. So because you're getting all 4 rounds, so a guy like Bubba who can make some eagles, you don't have to worry about him miss cut. I don't know. I like a guy like that, but
yeah. I love it. I love the play because, I mean, the worst case scenario, I mean, is that he ejects but still makes birdies, right? I mean, I guess he could withdraw, but like that's something anybody can do, right? I mean, he has been so terrible of late, and in general, I've even thought he's a bad play of late. But here, I think it does actually make sense to sprinkle him into tournaments. I mean, I right now have him at 8% personally.
Hey, can I interject here real quick, Mike, to kind of – sorry, Christian.
Go for it.
Mike, to your point there about and Drewby, brought this up on the podcast with the guys that are finishing 20th versus finishing 50th. With everybody getting 4 guaranteed rounds, it literally just comes down to their scoring per holes, for the most part. Because if you look at the bonus points for finishing position here, once you get past honestly probably the top 7, but really let's move to the top 15. Once you get past that, you're looking at a 5-point bonus for finishing 20th versus a 3-point bonus for finishing 30th and a 2-point bonus for finishing 40th. That's just 1 birdie, difference. So if Bubba finishes 40th, or like Phil, for instance, we've been talking a lot about how, first of all, he's been an awesome DraftKings scorer because he sticks so many pins and birdies so often, but we've seen the blow-ups, you saw that with the steal and the horrible hole last week and still making all those birdies. That's what really matters here. So even if Bubba finishes 42nd or whatever it is and gets 1 bonus point, he needs to make up 2 birdies or whatever to be just as good as the guy who finishes 20th.
That's a hugely good point. And you verbalize it in such a good way. Absolutely. You should be thinking about how many extra birdies do I need versus somebody else just getting pars, right? And that's a huge thing on this slate. I think it could be even amplified because of, they're playing in Coors Field.
So we got a question in chat. Spieth, nah, or Stenson 8,300 in cash. I'll throw that to Pacheco. Stenson's your boy. Where are you going there? And if you're going the Stenson side, do you have anybody 8,300 or less that you like for cash, or in that range?
Wait, was this a 2v2 or just
Yep,
a
Spieth
1v1?
and Nah versus Stenson and an 8,300 or less guy.
Oh man, I would probably side with the Stenson side. I mean, you can still play Steele at 7,900. You don't necessarily have to like roster someone in like 83. I mean, Tyrell Hatton is there. It's not that he's a bad play. Molinari's also there. There's also Berger, who we didn't really touch on yesterday, but I think of those guys, I'm probably more comfortable with Steele.
I was just laughing. Coop was asking why you're in the pitch dark, Pacheco. But
oh no,
I like Steele for cash 79. Berger is, I think, a good GPP play. I haven't seen very much talk about him in that weird price range. Ooh, we got lights on for Pacheco.
Hey, Mike. Something I think that we should be thinking about as well for this tournament in particular, but this goes kind of with everything, is that you especially do not have to spend the cap this week, given that you are getting 4 guaranteed rounds from everyone. So if you feel like way more comfortable using Stenson, like if that's the pivoting point there, even though you might not like anyone at like 83, if you feel good about Phil at 76 or Keimer at 75 or any of those guys, if you think those are better plays than the others that are closer to 83, then just use them. I mean, you're getting the 4 guaranteed rounds, and you'll see on the projections at DailyRoto, like, yeah, we have Steele at 79 and like a DK projection that is actually lower than that of like Phil below him or a Keimer below him even. So you don't have to obviously use all the salary, and this comes into kind of that little bias there that you just assume guys that are priced lower maybe are worse plays. Kind of just intuitively. I don't necessarily think you have to think that way when you're getting 4 guaranteed rounds from everyone.
Definitely, especially, I mean, you're in this field and this price, and you're taking all good golfers too. Like, not even just because of the no cut thing. Like, generally, you want to fill out the cap because it prevents you from taking bad golfers, and that's not a problem this week at all. And here's a question I'll throw to Christian, guy asking about Alexander Noren as top value play this week. We've got him as a plus value, not the top. How do you feel about Noren? I know we do like some Euro guys this week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Noren's a super solid player. I mean, he really kind of emerged in this past year, and it's clear he's awesome. I just, looking at where he is at 72, I can play a clearly better European player for more, right, in RCB. So, I mean, yeah, I like him. I think I'm looking around like a 14% exposure right now, something like that. And I just don't think he's the best value on this list. I think he's a good value, definitely. And one kind of just going back to Logan, your point that was really good about the not spending the full cap. If you simulate a bunch of contests and you look at the team that makes the nuts, the average salary of the team that makes the nuts is $49.3K this week. And most weeks it's like 49.8. And that just kind of hits your point, right?
Yeah. Hey, sorry, Christian, excuse me. 2 other things off of that also, though, is first of all, about the salary and using it. This is a week with a condensed field. You're getting 70 players, that range, versus the 150s that we're normally seeing. So it's a lot more likely that you're going to duplicate a lineup this week with less players in the field as opposed to other weeks. So that just might be another incentive to maybe messing with that cap range that you would typically spend. Secondly, this is a WGC event. So, Mike, when you're talking about the players in this field being good, I mean, like, the field strength is great. We're looking at a lot of really, really good players. So even if you are spending down, the prices are also relative to the field strength, right? So we're getting guys who are priced lowly, not just because DraftKings maybe mispriced them, which we've seen all year, but also because of the field strength. And then that just, kind of just goes to the point that you don't have to feel bad about not spending. Like, you're not, throw away that salary bias there. They're not just like horrible players because they're priced down, especially in a field like this.
Absolutely. We got another question. Haas versus Pooch in cash, 7,300 left exactly. We've got those two projected very, very similarly. I'm going to go with Cooch. I always feel pretty safe when I take him. Both these guys, I feel like Haas is just a worse version of Kuchar. Maybe I'm wrong there, but that's sort of the way I look at it. Who do you guys got in that just 1v1?
I'll go. I'm gonna go Kuchar as well. He's my boy. You know, he's been good to me all year.
Pacheco?
I would say Kuchar as well. I mean, from a projection standpoint, they're very close, and Haas is like $300 less. But like in that range, it doesn't matter. You're taking the guy you feel most comfortable with. And personally, I would feel more comfortable with Cooch this week.
Logan, are you making a 4 for 4 or are you going Haas?
You know what's really funny about this is that I personally do like Kuchar more, but if this is something, again, I'll go back to this getting the 4 guaranteed rounds thing. If this is one of those things where you really think it's a toss-up and you just can't make up your mind, go to the scoring projections in the Albatross model and see which guy is projected to make more birdies, because that's what matters this week. Like, right, we talked about the finishing points are going to matter only up until a certain, standing level. Like, if you feel that one of these guys is going to be there, then that's just extra incentive. But at that point, if you really think they're pretty comparable, then make your tiebreaker the birdie thing. And I actually just looked it up, and we have Haas projected for more birdies. So I'm going to go Haas.
Boo. Whatever, Logan.
I think they're both great plays.
You suck.
Oh, man.
Let's go GPP. I think GPP is more interesting conversation this week just because, well, maybe it's just me. Like I said, I can't pin down a single cash lineup, so I'm playing like weighted heavier towards GPP than I usually do. And I'm trying to find guys. The ownerships are super spread out like we talked about, so it's not like I'm trying to find a 5% guy, but I'm trying to find some guys that I think are going to be a little bit lower owned than I thought. One I thought was Sergio, but we actually spit out a pretty high ownership on him. But one I really like is Paul Casey, whose form was really great last week. He crushed it tee to green, but he didn't putt super well. And putting's one of those high variance thing. If he keeps ball striking the way he did last week, he's going to have better results. So Casey for me is one of my GPP staples. Christian, do you have a guy that you feel is just going, either under, maybe not even under owned, but just that you really like in tournament formats?
Pat Perez, I think 74 is a price I like for him a bunch. I think that there are a lot of other names that are maybe a little sexier than Pat Perez. He's actually an awesome dude though. Maybe not a sexy dude, but he's an awesome dude. and yeah, I just think it's easy to kind of get lost in it. And this guy's been crushing. And I'm interested to see kind of what he's going to do and how owned he's going to be.
You think the shoulder's good, Christian? I know, we've seen good performances since that weird withdrawal, but just is that any wrench in your plans at all?
No, I mean. I'm gonna play him probably 20%. I think what I think the field's gonna be 10, something like that. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's do this now, Logan. We'll do this in 5 minutes. We'll tweet it out, but we're gonna do a live draft on the Draft app that Jeremy Levine has, and I'm gonna crush Logan in it. If you haven't done that before, it's a Snake Draft app. Download Draft. And we'll do that in 5 minutes. I'll tweet it out and see if anybody's interested in our draft there. And we'll have to put some sort of stakes on it. But while I'm doing that, Pacheco, who's your GPP guy?
Well, I actually wanted to mention a couple things on the European guys, on the Euro guys, because I think that's where I'm likely going to try and get my GPP edge, other than Louis, who we mentioned yesterday as someone I liked in GPPs. But someone asked earlier about Alex Noren at 7,200 and him potentially being the top value play. Also Thomas Peters at 6,800. These guys are good values in a vacuum in our projections. But the challenge is that they're priced right around guys that are likely going to have more ownership in cash games. And it makes sense, right? Because Noren or Cooch, that's a tough decision. There's also Rafa Cabrera Bello in that range. You're probably going to side with Cooch and Bello in that. But I do think that some of these Euro guys, especially the ones that rate well in our model, like Peters and Noren, I think they're excellent GPP targets because it's difficult to grab Euro data. It's difficult for people to find that on the web. So I think they make for really good tournament targets this week at really low ownership.
Logie, you're up for GPP guy.
Oh, okay. Well, Chris, I really like that point you made on the Euros and just the fact that the ownership is typically, deflated on these guys because one, a lot of these players, like a player like Hatton, we just don't see a lot. So you really, first of all, you might not be aware of the skill level that's there, if not for Albatross. And then secondly, you don't know when you're comparing them to names that you do know, you're probably just going to side with that one that you're aware of, right? One of the guys, though, that I really like, and I feel like I'm always using him, and it hasn't necessarily really worked out just yet, but he rates as a pretty nice value in the Albatross model is Griot. That's 7,300 price tag. It feels like he's been there for just about every tournament this year, or at least around that price. And probably in this field, it's probably pretty close to accurate, right? And at the most, I would expect him to be like probably high sevens in a field like this. So I like this a lot. I mentioned a guy that like you're looking to get birdies and stuff. You don't have to worry about the other like bogeys. It's not something we have to really worry about. We project them for, like 13.4 birdies, which is pretty good if you sort it out here based on, from top to bottom. That's definitely, factored in and baked in well above what his price should be, if you stood it out there. But yeah, I like Griot, dude. 7,300. I don't know if you guys have thoughts. I haven't actually looked at the projected ownership on him, though. I don't think it would be absurd at all.
All right, let's draft, Logan. Let's do this. So you're up. You are up first. We're going to pick 5 golfers here on Play Draft. Any 5 golfers. If you want to do an expert one, you can, and then it takes out the top 25 projected guys, which is interesting. But we're going to do all golfers.
Mike, I think you should be able to actually show people now if you zoom on me.
Yes.
It's your pick first. And Christian, I would appreciate input from you on this too while we go through.
Oh, you're Mike.
Logan. How about my input?
Oh, it's my pick.
So that how it says your pick, that means it's your pick.
Sorry about that. I was telling the guys in the chat though that I'm going to go all Euro. So if you want to make this kind of like a Ryder Cup type event here, Mike, if you want to go all American, I think there's enough value in the Euro spot here. I know that we're not really dealing with salaries, but I'm gonna pick Stenson.
Yeah, well, that's silly. I got to go DJ, right? I mean, he's just been super chalk.
Not if you're considering the that
I had 2 in a row. So you just gave me DJ and Spieth, so like I love Stenson.
I told you I'm picking all Euro people.
I mean, you told me that, but like that doesn't make it a good idea.
Well, I mean, how did the geology stacks work out in Europe?
Yes. You know what's great about this is that so many people got on me about just trying to have some fun on the pod last week and suggesting Scott is not Euro, so we won't use him. I'll go Sergio.
Took my boy Sergio against.
They got on me. Wait, did I pick Sergio or did you pick Sergio? I picked Sergio. They got on me about the South African stack, and did you see how that worked out at the Joburg Open? It was awesome. And then also the geology stack with Brandon Stone, who played well. I don't know how Robert Rock did, but
how do I search a player here?
Then those guys have the best odds to win too, Logie. That's come on. Don't pat yourself in the back for that.
Stone had like the best odds to win.
All right, I mean Hideki for me, okay.
Dude, this was supposed to be whatever.
I never agreed to that. I'm just here to destroy you. So I'm gonna go Hideki and Adam Scott.
Whatever, man. Sorry, some of us play by the So let's play by the rule. No, duh, you're a
D-Cube
favorite.
says 5-man draft game greater than 2-man. I have to agree with that.
Well, it is, but you are selfish and just wanted to do 2-man. Hey, Griot doesn't count as Euro, does he? So I'm going to go to Paul Casey. Is this my last pick?
You get 2 picks, I think. Oh, nope, that was your
I
last
think I'm
pick.
done.
All right, so I'm going to go with. Oh, you took.
Wow, I'm probably a big dog in this fight. Well, maybe not. Christian, do you see these teams?
I'm going to go with
I'm
Phil.
looking at the teams, yeah.
I'm going to go with Phil.
Can you lay the odds on this here? Actually, Mike, draft gives you a projection. You're projected to beat me by 28.
Oof, that's I think. I mean, I don't know what the scoring system of the site is, but if it's like a reasonable system, yeah, Mike seems way better. It's not even close. I mean, you can still win, and you can always suck out. But I think that it's a pretty objectively clear here. I mean, play draft is got you down by 28 points.
Is it that bad?
DJ Speed.
Well, I mean, you said you weren't drafting Fred. You're drafting for like Euro fun, right? Which is fine.
Euros. I like my team.
I'll take a team, Logan.
Let's do a DK draft now. Let's draft together. I will enter this team. We'll split it if we win. So you're welcome, everybody.
All right.
We will enter a dog leg team here. Split it 4 ways if we win. Who's going first here? Let's go with
let the other guys go first since you.
We'll snake draft it from left to right from what I'm seeing. So Christian, you are up with the first pick.
All right. I pick Pat Paris.
I mean, that makes sense. That's your GPP guy.
Yeah.
Pacheco.
I'm gonna go with Sergio at 5.
All right.
Sergio is
trying to blow it, Mike.
Pick.
Yes.
We need some value. We don't need to go all contrarian.
Yeah, I mean, both those guys we've played, I think, are super values so far.
Logie, you're up before I drop down the hammer with 2 in a row.
No, dude, I thought you said, I guess from left to right with you. I was expecting to
just answer the question. Just answer the question.
Oh, easy.
He always stalls. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Calm down. I didn't even stall. We'll take Keimer.
Oh, man, you're leaving me with salary?
Yeah, that's not a bad thing to have.
I know. I'm going to go Hideki. I think that's Hideki or Rory is just killing me. But I'm going to go Hideki there. And then, I mean, I've been talking about Casey, so I got to go Casey.
All right.
Hey, you know what's weird, Mike, is that like 3 of these players are on my draft team. It just looks pretty good.
Well, you're up, Logie, to finish it off. So it looks like, well, I mean, you said we could leave money on the table, so pretty much anything is on the board here.
Sorry, who did you pick?
Oh, my goodness. He does this every time we do a draft together. Hideki and
Casey and Hideki.
Okay, I just got to fill out so I know how much salary I have left.
Yeah, we know how drafts work.
This is easy. I'm dealing with 8,100. I'm going to, Christian, you said the sim put it around, what, 49.3?
49.3 was where we had it.
We're going to be at 49.2 when we throw in Griot.
All right. Dude. There it is. Oh, can I screen share this? No, I'm not going to screen share.
You get this thing duped a million times in the dog leg.
Yeah,
great. Hey, join us, and we'll split the top prize 3K each way. Us and the
nobody else make that line up in the dog leg. Enter it.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah, don't play that if you're anybody listening.
All right. Well, I guess, if we don't get any more questions, please send in some questions in the DailyRoto chat if you've got them. If you don't, we'll go to sort of like final thoughts. I guess we'll go left to right again, starting with Christian. I mean, it can be anything, one more GPP guy you like, or maybe just a macro concept, anything you got as far as final thoughts for this week. Okay,
can I say shit on this? I think I can.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can. So I guess my thought is like, I don't know how difficult this course is going to play. Like, there's very little data on it. I know there was like a web.com event where what?
That might have been
1300 was
fake
the winner?
news.
What? It might have been fake news?
Fake
Okay.
news from Drewby.
I mean, listen, it's Drewby. You're going to get fake news a lot, right? That's how you have to live your life, right? Constantly under uncertainty. But yeah, I'm just really curious to see how this is going to play. Like, I think it's the fact that we're a course field and it's effectively a 6,500-yard course with all these superstars playing on it, right? Like, it could be pretty insane. It could be some awesome golf to watch.
I agree.
Someone else has to talk.
Yeah, Pacheco, you're next.
Okay. Well, actually, I want to make my point on Rory earlier, so I'll just make it now. Something that Drewby said that was interesting last night was just the fact that Rory has only played one event this season, and actually, just looking at the date, that was back in January. And he's been dealing with this rib issue. Now, I do think that he's healthy, which is why he's playing, of course. But this is probably like just thinking this out loud. But like this is probably an event that you want to have some reps in, before you come in. And it's not like Rory hasn't practiced or anything like that. It's just that he hasn't been playing a lot of events. So I know the price is intriguing. I'm gonna have him at GPPs. It's just that there's some uncertainty there for sure, and this is a different sort of course. They're of course they're dealing with the altitude element this week. So while the price is nice, and I understand that relative to the upside. I mean, last time we saw Rory, he was like second in birdie average and like first in shots gained tee to green. So like he's an exceptional player. But just keep that in mind that some of this is kind of priced into it at 10-9. And I don't know. I think that's a legitimate concern heading into this event for Rory.
All right, so we got some actual questions here before we get to Logie.
Can I pivot off that point real quick and just play devil's advocate for a second? I know
if you don't want to hear the people's questions, that's fine.
No, we'll get to it. We got time. We got nothing going on. I know, Chris, I saw you roll your eyes here. This is just a thought. I know you said that you probably want to have some reps before you come into this. In my opinion, though, this could also be a rep gaining tourney. You're looking at a no-cut event. You're getting 4 rounds, and he's getting a check at the end, guaranteed. So, I mean, is this his just show up and who cares what the hell happens? This is me getting 4 rounds to play and get into form while also getting a paycheck. Not saying that that's the case, but I mean, if we want to play devil's advocate, that's certainly a possibility, right?
Dude, so that's not even what I meant.
The questions we don't need. All right, so
there's some really good chatter out here.
First one's from Drewby in a head-to-head. Who are you backing, Logan or Pacheco? And I'm backing Pacheco all the way. I think that's an easy one. I think he's minus 150. If we're setting the line here.
Head-to-head, are they mano-a-mano rumbling, or are they
No, I'm assuming he means in a DFS golf contest.
Okay, well, if it's play draft, I have Pacheco at minus 300. But if it's DK, I don't know. I think they're both very smart people. I can't pick sides.
I'll play him.
Drew, we'll start with you, Logan. Drew, what's your favorite Mexican food in honor of this event?
I just had this for the first time, but I'm actually a big fan of it. And I'm not going to go tacos or anything like that. I just went to Trader Joe's for the first time and got these tamale things. It's wrapped in corn husk. Man, that was Pacheco. Don't roll your eyes, man. They were great. That's what I'm gonna go with. My honor. That's where I'm honoring it. Last week I did this food take also, the narrative food take with Honorbon, and because I had Indian a couple times, and he played really well. No one jumped on that. Everybody laughed at me. So whatever. I'm done making food takes.
Tamale thing is amazing.
What's yours?
I just found that's borderline disrespecting, because my girlfriend's family is all Mexican, and tamale things is just That's just an egregious thing to say. Thing, like if it's like nothing. Anyways, my favorite Mexican food is it's a thing called tostadas with carne. Those things are freaking delicious, but it's probably something that a lot of you don't even know since I freaking said it in Spanish.
I know tostadas.
You do?
I love Mexican food. Yes, of course, dude. I mean, I live in San Francisco, which has so much Mexican food. You can't get enough of it, right? My favorite's probably carne asada.
Thank you for not saying like things. Like
I'm not giving an answer because I'm afraid of what Pacheco was going to say. So I'm
what? Mike, Buffalo is like the taco capital.
I think we actually had a real question in here, and now
this is a good question. If I had to fade one guy over 10K, who would it be for my boy?
That was it.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about that?
If you had to fade one guy over 10K, for me, because I'm a masochist, once again, it would be DJ. Not only is he by far the most expensive of the group, he is the second highest owned, most likely, of the group. So combination of price and ownership. I mean, you don't want to fade any of these guys. If you had to fade one, I think that's the easy pick here.
I'm going, I guess Rory. I don't know. I think they're all sweet plays, but if I had to, Rory.
I'd agree with Rory. Go ahead, Pacheco.
Well, I'll mention someone different since everyone mentioned Rory, and then the other one mentioned DJ. Freaking ridiculous. I would say Hideki at 10-7 is probably who I'm more likely to fade of this group.
So we've got basically the Rory. I guess the three theories here would be the fade the guy who has the most uncertainty because they're all safe. That would be the Rory pick. The other one would be fade, hypothetically, the worst golfer of the group. That would be the Hideki pick, even though I know that's a little bit debatable. And then mine would be more like the I'm an idiot and trying to play game theory and going to lose all my money pick.
You said DJ?
Which is DJ. No one picked Spieth, though, which is interesting.
You're fading the dumbest guy in the group, right? That's the narrative.
Right, the altitude yardage narrative. I didn't really think of it that way, but yeah, sure.
I would love to see an ESPN 30 for 30 where they just like follow around him and his brother Austin and just listen to what they say. Because, how much of it is, I don't know. Compare it to some really cerebral players like a Spieth or something like that. I mean, it'd be probably pretty different.
Yeah, but wait, Mike, you wouldn't fade him because he's a bad course fit. You're simply fading him because he's the most expensive and
the course fit was
ownership, right?
Yeah, it's a combination of price and ownership that I think like if you were making 100 teams and somebody said you have to fade one of these four, I think the biggest EV would to fade DJ. It's highly unlikely that I full fade any of them. But I do wonder, and Christian, I want to ask you, because I know you, we've talked about this a lot before, doing sort of the spread the risk strategy where you sort of pick up these incremental edges on the field rather than taking these huge stances on guys. And this week, it's really weird to do that because there are so many playable guys and the ownerships are so spread out that it almost makes me, in an odd way, even though there's more playable guys, it almost makes me want to take some firmer stances and just trying to hit on them, like being, really heavy Hideki because I think he's going to be the lowest owned of the top four, or really heavy, someone like Adam Scott, because I just don't think people are going to build as much with the low 9K guys because of the ability to go with the top K guys and down low. I mean, how is your GPP multi-entry mix changing at all? Or are you still just doing it, your normal spread the risk type way?
I think that's a good point. I am going to probably play about the same way. It's not going to change. I see where you're coming from, and I'm definitely going to think about it. Like my answer might change from now to then. The current level of exposures I have are pretty similar to what I'd play if it was a normal slate, conditioned on everything else about being equal. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm actually going to be thinking about that for sure as we get closer to lock and whatnot. What about you guys?
It might just be a greed thing from me where I'm like, I don't want to pick up 3%, over or under on everybody. So give me like 2 or 3 guys. I'm like 20% deviation from the field, either under or over.
Yeah, well, I think you're kind of also high on the ability to NASCAR play 100% of the guys who finished top 4 in the race, which you did, right? And
Yeah,
I think,
kudos to Christian, who also does. And I talk about this on the pod too. That I think is cool when you talk about it here. But the NASCAR projections you did were awesome. I won some money. Thank you. With the help of your NASCAR projections and strategy. But the one thing I think you did well with the NASCAR projections, I know you do well with the golf, is just capturing the, it's like logical, the breakdown of the total DraftKings points that's going to be scored by the entire field, the sort of, I guess, ratio of place points to DK scoring points, which, I mean, sometimes is hard to capture because you don't know what exact horse is going to play. But in general, there's these systemic things in there that just make sense so that you're not arbitrarily projecting guys for 100 plus just because you like them.
Exactly. I mean, you guys do this in football too, right? It's a very similar type of thing with market share of cars and market share of targets, right? Like, you want to have a consistent system in order to logically show, all right, this is where the salary is wrong, right? You could pick it apart at a super detailed level.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's going to do it for us, guys. That was fun. Much smoother than the first time we did this. So if you're listening, you don't have a package, though, go to dailyroto.com/premium. Use promo code GOLF. You will get 10% off. Lock tomorrow, I think, is at noon. So you got some time. Listen to our podcast. Search Daily Roto Fantasy Golf on iTunes. Me, Drewby, and Pacheco on here. We're on that podcast. That's a free podcast. So we got some good stuff in there. Go over some more value plays in there. But other than that, that'll do it. Good luck, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.